the other thing I've done is I've been watching Pistol, which is the program about the Sex Pistols on Disney+.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's a thing. Danny Boyle's directed it, and it's actually based on Steve Jones, who's the guitarist, Steve Jones' book that was released in 2016.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this, but Steve Jones and Danny Boyle actually had to sue John Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten, for the rights to the use of the music. He's an old curmudgeon these days, and he's just not into it whatsoever.
He likes butter, though, doesn't he? British butter.
Yeah, butter and a farmer's wife is what he enjoys these days. Not a sellout at all.
No.
It's quite fun. I think there was probably a bit of style over substance during some of it, but overall it was a fun watch. The thing is, I've seen the history of the Sex Pistols portrayed in so many different ways. I've read so many different accounts, and I think probably somewhere amongst it all, you can kind of get a grip of what actually happened, like some of the truth. And I think this was definitely embellished a little bit.
It was a fashion movement rather than a musical movement.
Oh,
they weren't very good musicians.
Yeah, exactly. It was
terrible musicians.
And it does touch on that as well. And what I did like to see was the inclusion of all the people that were kind of at the forefront of the punk scene. That weren't sort of directly in the band, but they moved in the same circles. So you had that punk model, Pamela Rook, aka Jordan, recently passed, actually. You would have seen her, the lady with the mohawk, and she always had the cat eyes
I've seen
everything.
Her.
Yeah, absolute icon of the 70s. And she was played by Maisie Williams, so that was cool. Helen of Troy was in it, Vivienne Westwood, of course, and Chrissy Hynde from The Pretenders. They all played pretty big roles in the thing. So that was a bit of a breath of fresh air to see them included as well. The real surprise of the show was Thomas Brodie Sangstar, who you might know from Game of Thrones and Love Actually, the little boy. He played Malcolm McLaren, of all people.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he old enough?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he is.
Is he an adult now?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Malcolm McLaren was about 30, and I guess he's about 30, although he does still look about 12.
What is time? How is this kid 30 now?
I know. But I think he possibly could have turned the arseholeness up a notch, because from all reports, Malcolm McLaren was the absolute worst.
He was He was an absolute bastard.
Worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't go into that as much as they could have done. But they only had limited time. It was a 6-episode show. Actually, the standout for me was the actor that played Johnny Rotten. I haven't seen him in anything else before. Anson Boone, his name is. I think his performance was a bit of an over-exaggeration of him. He does play this really, snarling, angry, kind of raggedy version of him that you would genuinely find scary and intimidating. But if you look back at old interviews of Johnny Rotten, he tended to kind of keep the snarling on stage, whereas in interviews and everything, he was more just the king of sarcasm, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was also trying to be a poet as well at the same time, wasn't he? And doing weird, meta commentary on the monarchy and stuff like that. It's like, come on, lay off it, mate. You're probably rich and posh anyway.
Probably. I mean, it didn't help that he had the face of an absolute cherub when he was that age as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just an adorable little person snarling away. But it's a fun show. Certainly if you're a music fan, or if you're any kind of passing fan of the Sex Pistols, give it a go.
Is it in the same ilk as Pam and Tommy, or is it a bit more serious?
It's a bit more serious. It's Danny Boyle to start, so that gives you some idea of kind of the look of the show. The kind of train spotting type thing. But I mean, it has some less serious moments. But no, I wouldn't really compare it to Pam and Tommy. Although if you like your music shows, you'll probably like that too.